Welcome back to another video on the Fusion Figs channel. Today, we're going to be checking out the Elite 127 JC Matteo and Nathan Frazer figures, as well as the Elite 126 Javon Evans. I'm really happy that they ended up making this JC Matteo figure. I'm really happy they ended up releasing this JC Matteo figure, especially since how the timing worked with him getting a release and such. It was, kind of iffy on if they were going to fully go through with this. So I'm glad we were able to get this figure. This is great for, anybody who was a fan of him as Jeff Cobb, or if you're like me and you liked him as the Monster Matanza back in Lucha Underground. Great figure to have to your collection if you're a big fan of his. So it's really cool to see. Nathan Frazer, I've personally been waiting for a figure, an elite figure, I guess, of him since I think I saw him in AEW Dark like years ago. He was Ben Carter. I immediately was a fan of his after seeing his work in the ring. So very happy to get this figure. And of course we got Javon Evans, and that boy is bouncy. I mean, this is a guy who wrestles like he's an action figure. He does things you shouldn't really be able to do. So definitely, of course, he's one of those guys you got to pick up, especially since this is his first elite figure. I'm sure there's many more to come, but I had to get this one. But that's enough talk. Let's get a closer look at these. Starting off with the accessories for Javon Evans, he's got a cloth goods t-shirt that does come with Velcro as well. It almost feels like this image here is like almost like a sticker. It doesn't come off, but it feels like they just like put a sticker on there, but I think it looks all right. And he also comes with 2 mic holding hands and 2 punching hands. Now for the figure itself, I want to start with a head scan. I am a little bit torn on it because the face itself is pretty well done. I think they got his likeness done pretty well. I'm not too thrilled about how they've done his hair. The closer look, it's sort of like, the hairline itself is painted onto the skull, but then he has this attached hair on top. There's just no like natural transition from the piece of hair they set on top of the head and the painted part on the head. It just looks a little bit off to me. But if you look at like the hair in isolation, it looks pretty sick. So it is like kind of like a weird mixed feeling of it looks pretty good, but this front of the hair is kind of bothering me a bit. Also, maybe this is just my figure specifically, or I don't know if there are others, but one leg I think is like slightly longer than the other. If you can see, he kind of like leans a bit, and I had to like bend this one leg to get him to sort of like look balanced. Not the end of the world, but if you're wanting this for display and this ends up being a common issue, probably not the most ideal scenario to have. But otherwise, he's got fully rotating shoulders, double jointed elbows. Got the tattoos on his right arm. He comes with what looks like the Kofi Kingston torso, standard Ab Country Elites, fully rotates around the waist, thigh cut. The legs on this figure are still slightly stiff. I did just get out of the package, so I feel like it doesn't feel like overwhelming stiffness, so I think this is just a matter of moving it around in your hand a bit and getting it kind of loosened up. He's got Young OG on the tights on the one side, and that boy bouncy on the other side. He's got the kick pads on his boots and ankle pivot. All in all, I'll be honest, it's pretty standard elite. Not too happy with the hairline situation and the slightly elongated leg, but ultimately, pretty solid figure. I guess my only other thing would be that I do kind of wish it was a brighter attire. Like this one looks fine, but he definitely has some really cool colored attires that they could have done that I think would really pop more. Maybe show some more detail on the pants themselves. So like, it's a completely okay figure, but I think if I wasn't so excited about it being his first figure, I probably wouldn't have just bought it if like, say I had already owned an Elite Javon Evans beforehand. But this was definitely one I wanted to get just because I'm a fan of his. Now for the Elite 127 JC Matteo, he does come with a cloth goods MFT tank top, and it does have Velcro on the back. And he comes with 2 mic holding hands and 2 punching hands. And here we have the JC Matteo figure itself. I mean, I think they got the short and stockiness down to a T. He's definitely got this sort of like Taz build going on. I'll be honest, I don't know. I definitely don't own any other elites that have this like body shape. The closest maybe being like one of those recent Bronson Reed elites. So I don't know if this was like a custom body for JC Matteo or if they reused something that I'm just not familiar with. But I think it suits him pretty well. I'm really happy with like the fact that they didn't give him like the rhino situation with just huge bulging shoulders that aren't realistic. I think proportionally it looks pretty solid. Here's a little bit more like from the side. I think like pretty spot on, I would say. This really, I think, showcases like his proportions. I don't know, it sounds weird, but I'm very happy with how this turned out. The head scan itself is like also pretty realistic. I really like the way they've done his sort of like oily, stringy hair. Done super well. Right now, like I'll be honest, I don't see many issues with this besides the typical larger guy issue with figures. Like it just feels a little bit different when you're holding them compared to like your standard elite bodies or something. But like I don't think it's a bad way. I think that's just it's an uncommon body shape, but I think they pulled it off pretty well. As far as articulation goes, pretty standard. Fully rotating shoulders, double jointed elbows. He doesn't have any tattoos, but he does have really cool textured wrist tape. Ab crunch, not too much, but that's kind of a given. Fully rotates around the waist. Legs, you don't get much range. Decent from the side, but pretty much nothing forwards. Again, that comes with the shape of the body, so again, kind of a given. And then your typical knees, ankle pivot. Having it in hand, I am more appreciative of it, not just by having, a character, I don't like the JC Matteo character, but like Jeff Cobb or Matanza, having that character in hand. It was my appeal for getting this, but actually feeling the figure in hand like makes me happy to have it, and I definitely would like pose it around or such. Honestly, anybody who's looking to do like a Jeff Cobb custom, or even like if you were able to get like a jumpsuit the size to fit this figure to turn him into a Matanza custom, like I say go for it. It feels pretty solid, especially for a larger guy. As far as accessories go for Nathan Frazer, he comes with quite a few extra hands. He's got 2 mic holding hands, 2 open hands, and 2 punching hands. He also comes with this hoodie, which I'm not sure what material this is, but it's very smooth feeling, almost slippery in a way, if I could describe it. He's got Velcro to open up from the front. Really cool designs here with the N and F on there. Looking at this hoodie, I was kind of thinking like this really reminds me of something that Christian Cage would be wearing in like the 2000s. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys because it's definitely stuck in my head now. As for the figure itself, I mean it's pretty solid. You got this red, black, and it's not gold. It's maybe more of like a light brown, almost beigey type color, but I think it works. I think there's his head, the likeness is pretty spot on. The hair, it almost looks like the hair is like sitting slightly above the skull. I think that just is a matter of like the hairstyle. At first I was a little bit worried, but I think it's just how his hair actually sits on his head, the way it's combed and such. But yeah, hair wise, it is like pretty stiff, so you're not going to get much like the head's not going to be able to really look up because the hard plastic hair is definitely going to be in the way. I don't know how you would ever have his hood on if he's wearing the jacket. I just don't think it's a possibility. Maybe, I'm sure somebody will figure it out, but I don't know how that's really going to work. Articulation-wise, pretty much the same as the usual. Fully rotating around the shoulders, double jointed elbows. He's got this wrist tape / gauntlet with a little cool design on it. Torso, same old ab crunch as usual. He's got like lightly painted on like hair on his chest, fully rotating around the waist. I again, like I really do like this complementary of like this little bit of red, a little bit of black, but mostly on this sort of like plain light brown background. Like I think it works pretty well because you get to see all the cool details. Like it's got a lot of red and black stripes, kind of different ways, different patterns all throughout the attire, which is pretty neat to see. NF on the knee pads, stripes on the other knee pads. Typical knee joint movement, thigh cut, pretty standard elite like leg range. Good in the front as well, which is great for like, a more agile, fast guy like him. You kind of want that if you're wanting to handle this figure in your hand. Got the black and brown kick pads, and of course this typical ankle pivot. And here's the figure next to the Axiom Elite. As you can see, like you can definitely tell there's a difference of Axiom's got gold, but Nathan's got like a lighter brown. But I think it still kind of works. So if you're wanting to make your Fraxium team, I think these two elites work pretty well together. I'd be curious to see anybody who has like the pink attired Axiom Elite to see what that looks like next to Nathan Frazer. But as far as these two go, I feel like this is a pretty decent setup if you wanted to build your Faxium tag team. I think out of all three figures, I do have a preference towards the JC Matteo. Part of it is just like the amount of time I've waited to get a figure that I could potentially use him as a Matanza. But also, I just think they pulled off his size and proportions very well. That Nathan Frazer, it also like is great. Again, this is somebody who was like I was a fan of before WWE, so really cool to get a figure of him. And then of course Javon Evans. Personally, I like I said, if this wasn't his first figure in the line, I might not have gotten this one. Not too big on how they pulled off the hair. I prefer a different attire, but I'm still like, it's still like a solid Javon figure. Like if you're like me and you just wanted to have Javon Evans in your collection, this is completely okay figure to get. And like, you know, we don't know how long it would be and if or when they would make another Elite, but if they do, I mean, I'll probably get one with a better attire. I'm hopefully we'll like it more. Hopefully they fix the hair issue. But I mean, of course, that's just me being nitpicky. Ultimately, these are all solid figures. I'm happy with picking up all of them. That's going to do it for today's video. If you end up getting these figures yourselves, be sure to leave a comment down below on your thoughts on the action figures. Leave a like and of course subscribe if you want to see more wrestling figure content just like this.